the first foundation ever created by God was the institution of marriage. It is important to him. It is a God idea, and so it is a good idea. And I believe that as we tear apart that core foundation, we invite anarchy, because there was a system involved with that, right? There was a nurturing process involved with a husband and a wife coming together, children being reared by that husband and wife. Grandparents eventually are part of the tribe, and you have this generational knowledge and growth that transcends and passes down. But as we divorce, as our families scatter, as the legacy scatters, we're seeing a demise in family, a demise in community, a demise overall in the ability for human beings to connect to one another and value humanity and mankind. And believe it or not, it all starts with marriage.
Danielle Pettiford grew up facing tough circumstances, but she refused to let her past define her future. Danielle Pettiford overcame a tough upbringing to create a life dedicated to helping couples build stronger, lasting bonds.
So I grew up in Hudson, Colorado. There was probably 400 people in the whole city, and we were the only black family. My father was an escapist. He was an ex-con. He had committed murder. He had got out, and he was free. And the first woman he met, he married. That was my mother. My mother, she was in deep love with someone who died of a drug overdose when she met my father. So it was totally a rebound marriage. And he had some other issues. He was very violent. He was very abusive. It was a very tumultuous upbringing. I saw many things a child should never see. I saw violence, fighting, blood. My father would threaten us quite often. He would say, "Here, take this gun and blow your face off." He would literally say those things, and we would watch that. And so we became kind of numb to violence. And that is something that I saw all the way up till I was 8 years old, when my mother decided to pack us all up in the middle of the night and to escape. And that's what we did at 8 years old, and we moved back to New Jersey and started a new life. I'll say that by the time I was 12, and this was in 1988, I was homeless and living out of a car, washing up at a Burger King, and going to school and trying to make it look like everything is okay. I was a dreamer. I was a big dreamer. Remember, we lived in Montclair, New Jersey, but we were in poverty. Montclair, New Jersey is a beautiful area, mansions, celebrities lived there, very forward thinking, about 45 minutes away from New York City. My mother ended up getting married again. We were 16, 17. And I said, I've had enough of this. I have been homeless 3 and 4 times. By the time I was 17, I'll do this on my own. The turning point was where I realized that I could get a job. I could get my own apartment, I could get my own car, and I could create my own life. And so at 17 years old, I did just that. I got my first job at Whole Foods. And I worked up really quickly to be the team leader and then a department leader. I was making great income. I had my own car, I had my own apartment, and I started living life by the design of my heart's desire. I began to go to church and just surround myself with an environment that aligned with my heart. That's where the change took place. Somebody that grows up in the type of lifestyle that I grew up in, where you didn't have many boundaries. You know, when I was 15 years old, I was staying out overnight and my mother wasn't even asking where I was. Not because she didn't care, because she was so busy working 3 jobs, 3rd shift, trying to keep a roof over our heads. So by the time I was in my 20s, I had said, I'm leaving that whole crazy life behind. I got really into the word. I started to join a church and participate, and I had become someone new. Party girl, church girl. I called all my friends and I said, listen, y'all gonna think I'm crazy, and maybe I've gone crazy, but don't call me no more. Don't invite me to your parties. Don't invite me out to hang out. The answer is no. I closed the blinds, I closed the doors, I stopped answering the phone, and I shut completely down. During that time, it was a time of solitude. And I would say maybe it was about 3-4 months of solitude, just me and God and praying. And I'll never forget, an episode came on with Creflo Dollar. And it was the one where he was talking about pray until something happened, push. And I just started doing that. I got a call back from a job. I went to that job, and there was a woman there who I went to high school with. And she was the one who said, you need to go to this empowerment seminar. This thing is amazing, this young man. And I said, oh, hold on. Young man, look, I don't want to hook up. No, thank you. I'm good. I'm me and Jesus, you know. And she convinced me. I went home. I'm like, I'm not doing nothing. I may as well. And the story is interesting because I reached out to him because after being so inspired by his message, and he was talking about the economic program for African American youth, how to build wealth, I was like, that's what I want to do. I'm going to redeem all this mess, and I'm going to help other people get out of whatever they're in. And so I prayed, and I said, God, if you will make me like him, if you will bless me to speak, because I was not a speaker, stage fright 101. Well, if you do that for me, I will donate 10% of everything you bless me with to his ministry. God said, do it now. And I started doing the math. I said, do. I said, hold on. That's only $9.39, Lord. That's embarrassing. He said, do it now. So I rounded it up to $10. I reached out. I said, what's your address? I said, this is who I am. I was at your event. It blessed me, and I want to sow into your ministry because this is what I want to do. And he said, thank you. Here's my address. Let me mentor you. And that's how I met him. It took a minute to know if he was the right one now. Couples Academy is a faith-based, relationship-focused company, and we support couples who have been through all kinds of issues, but mainly infidelity. We have a three-pronged approach. We focus on your marital recovery, your infidelity recovery, and your personal recovery. And it really works because one of the things that we've noticed when couples come to us, having come from other therapists and those kinds of things, they focus most of the time on the past, right? This is what happened. This is what got me to here. These are my wounds. But they don't really give them the structure to take where they're at to the future, right? And so we're focused on helping couples repair from the past, but where you're at, and then projecting into the future where you can be. I could not afford to ride the bus. I would walk miles to the bus stop. So my dreams were expansive. I imagined myself in these homes. I imagined myself with the ideal family, which is interesting, what I do for a living. And so I always believed that there was another way. When I would see mothers and daughters and fathers and families together, I would say, that's what I'm going to create when I grow up. That is something that is attainable. I could reach that one day. And I believe that just imagining those things, not even knowing necessarily how to accomplish it, I was able to draw that into my world.